Hey everyone, welcome back to the Automotive Flux channel. So I've been meaning to do this for a while now, actually quite a while now because of the recent, or it used to be recent BeamNG updates that have been happening. I think it's 0.24 or something like that. They added a new car, they've been updating stuff. BeamNG is always growing, so it's good to see that kind of thing. But today I thought I would make a new default car. This one has been my default for a while now, but it's 2022, so I think it's time for something new. So quickly, just to introduce what a default car or maybe a daily car is, it's the car that you spawn in with in BeamNG, and I've had a few of them over the years, but this is my most recent one. It's a little bit slow, but it is an ETK sort of bigger coupe, I guess. It's not ideal for what I use it for, and I end up breaking it most of the time, but generally what I do is I spawn in with this car, I kind of just drive to where I want to go. I realize I could fly there, but it's more fun to drive to the places I want to go, and then I do whatever testing I want to do. So it's always going off-road, it's always needing to be driven fast, and it does get destroyed fairly quickly. So with that being said, we can narrow down the optional BeamNG vehicles to these ones here, of which obviously there are quite a few options. Some cars are new, like this Bastion here. That's quite a new one. I haven't seen that one before, so it might be a good candidate. But I think this time I'm going to specifically go for something that's a little bit better off-road. I have had a D-Series and a Roamer in the past. I've also had a Hopper in the past. H-Series seems a little bit... it's a van. Sunburst is always a good choice. The Wendover is an interesting car, so that might be an option, and it's also one of the newer cars. You can use this ETK here to make a Mercedes 190e Evo 2, which is extremely cool, so that is always on my radar. Let's make a Bastion, and I'm going to start with the most basic model, but I'm going to make it the color that I want it to be, which in this case is going to be a nice vibrant red. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the car in its most basic form. It looks like it has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder perhaps. Nothing crazy, but we'll just have to go with that for now. I just want to do some basic testing of the car in its stock form versus my new version, and by testing I mean basically just drive it around and see how fast it is. It's a pretty big car actually, it's quite large. Maybe we can get rid of some of its mass, that would be a good thing. So I want to see how it'll do off-road, just a very quick off-road test, and this version does seem to be rear-wheel drive. I was worried it was going to be front-wheel drive, but being a Charger it makes sense that it's a rear-wheel drive base vehicle. And we can get up to approximately 40 degrees in the mud before the car gives out. So we'll do this test again afterwards and we'll see if I can get higher. Alright, take one more look at it because it's about to change. It's time that we configured this vehicle. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just changed a few things up. I just made the license plate into my name, and I've also made it so it has a Sport GT paint job, which means our roof is black and the rest of the car is red, which looks really nice. So let's stick with that. Now, if you didn't know, you can modify a lot of stuff in BeamNG. Most of the cars, especially the newer ones and also the D-Series, have a ton of customization. There's a lot that we can do here, so let's start to get through it. So I'm going to do a full roll cage, which is adding weight, I realize, but I just think it's a lot cooler and it stiffens the chassis. The radiator, we're going to go for the ultra high performance radiator because otherwise everything is going to break when I'm using it. I think I'm going to go for the Battlehawk hood, very obvious demon or I guess Hellcat ripoff, but I mean, that works for me. It's cool looking, okay? I'm working with it. Roof accessories. Oh man, we have flashers, light bars. I'm not going to get into that. And let's go for some fancy seats. The last car had no passenger seat, so I'm going to take this one out as well. We're going to go for that full-on race look. I've taken out the rear seats as well because I want the least amount of weight that we can possibly get. So side skirts actually have a few variants, including performance, which looks a little bit funky. Sport is, I guess, sporty, and then sport wide. We should probably go for some width. Okay, so I decided to put on the sport interior, which means we have a much nicer interior now, although I think I'm going to take out most of it. And I put on a wooden steering wheel. No particular reason, I just thought it was kind of cool. And yeah, it's still auto, it's still got the 4-cylinder, but with these changes, we should be quite a bit faster. It is a lot lighter than it once was. Okay, so the car does look a little bit ugly at this point, but I've gotten through all of the basic options for the body. You can hopefully see what I'm doing at the moment. But now it's time to get onto the front bumper and the rear bumper and then try to, well, hopefully try and make it a little bit wider, a little bit more sporty looking, and a little bit more distinguished as well. Oh my goodness, there are a lot of options for the bumpers. If I go performance, oh, that is thick, goodness. That's not exactly my off-road spec, but that is nice. We may have to change things up a little bit here and go wide body. Oh yeah, the wide body one is pretty nice too. And I think that that kind of just matches the wide body fenders, which we'll get to. So these are subject to change. Obviously we could go for an off-road bash bar. That's pretty neat. Taking a look at the rear, this is what the performance looks like. I'm not a huge fan of that. Rear bash bar. Oh my goodness, we're gonna make a go-kart out of this car. The wide body actually looks a little bit cleaner, so I'm gonna go ahead with the wide body rear end. Maybe this is not as aggressive as I thought it would be. Okay, so here's the part where we can rip out some of the interior. Like, do we really need a center console? I guess we have to. It's either that or police. Dashboard accessories, we don't need a radar. Let's go for the Battle Hawk gauges and see what those look like. Oh my goodness, it is a straight rip-off of the Hellcat. That's fine though. Red tail gauges, those look pretty cool. And I think I'm going to go with the Sport GT gauges just because they're nice and white. Automatic shifter, we're going to change that for manual because the car is going to be manual. In order to make this car more aggressive, we could literally just take off the doors, which would be cool, but maybe not quite the spec I'm going for. I'm going to keep the front door panels, but I'm going to remove the rear door panels just because I feel like that makes sense for my build. So here we'll keep the glass, but no interior panels, just for lightness purposes. Okay, we're starting to get into the fun stuff because here comes the driving safety, but also the engine, the fenders, the grills, lots of stuff that's going to change the look of the cars. And probably the most important thing next to the engine is picking out good wheels, because these wheels for a 4-cylinder, they're not going to work with the big boy V8 or bigger that we put into this. So for driving safety and electronics, we basically just have the regular and then the race version. So I'm going to go for a race version. Hopefully that'll be less intrusive. And I said it was a 4-cylinder. I was wrong. It is a 3.5 liter V6, but we're going to jump up immediately to the 6.5 liter V8 with ultra heavy duty engine mounts, I guess. So it's going to be really stiff. And do I want to make it crazy with twin turbos or possibly a supercharger? But first I'm going to see how fast it is with the stock intake, which looks like this, by the way. Pretty darn cool looking. For the purposes of this build, let's go for the Stage 2 Performance long block, and if that doesn't give us enough power, then we'll go for the ultra heavy duty one, which I guess is better towing capacity. And then nitrous, I don't want nitrous, but we do want a race. Let's do a 6-speed sequential. That's pretty cool. And for the purposes of this build as well, I want to do it all-wheel drive because I like all-wheel drive. So we'll have a front drive shaft and a rear, and she is going to be doing all-wheel burnouts all day. I'm going for the adjustable race ECU. We can always, mess with that. The Battle Hawk speed limiter, I guess, is what we want, if that's the highest speeds that we can get to. I don't care about limiting speed at all, really. Obviously, we need the twin-turbo exhaust manifolds. Actually, that doesn't even make sense. Okay, so the performance exhaust mufflers are not meshing well with our wide-body bumper, so that might not work. I'm just going to go for the quad exit for now, and if that's not big enough, then we can always do more. I mean, we could also just have no mufflers at all, and just run this thing completely straight out of the, I guess that'd be a just after the Y pipe there. It has mufflers and then it just goes into nothing. That's going to be loud as heck. Okay, so those are the wide body front fenders. They don't actually mesh well with the performance piece on the bottom here, unfortunately. So we might have to change that out just because it's not quite lining up right, which is a mistake I've made on previous builds like this before. So when it comes to the grille, we could just put in nothing, which Oh, dang, unfortunately it goes all the way up there. Okay, so I made a couple more changes, just a few things to kind of wrap it up a little bit, but I'm noticing that the doors don't line up at all with the rear fenders, so there must be some wide body door option that I'm not using, and I'm gonna have to pull that out. Otherwise it's not gonna line up well, which is unfortunate, but I think we can figure that out. Probably just the rear doors. You can see there's a bit of a lip there, which is weird. But the car is looking pretty darn good. We need to do the suspension, the wheels, and then decide if we want a supercharger or not, and then obviously run this thing. Also, a very important thing to do is save it when the time comes. Definitely got to save. Also, because this is a programmable ECU, we get to control things like the RPM limit and the gear ratios, the wheel alignment, lots and lots of stuff that we can mess with, which is fun. Okay, let's do the front suspension, and in doing so, we'll also pick out our wheels because that's kind of important. So it's independent front suspension. We are going to need a race limited slip differential, I would assume. I think that'll probably run pretty well for us. Not the base front struts, that's definitely not going to do it. Let's go race front struts. Race front sway bar, I'm going to put on as many race parts as I can. Front spindles is going to be fine. Brakes, race brakes, and full race front brake pads, please and thank you. I want to be able to stop. So now the car is actually all-wheel drive because we have the transmission and also the differential and the drive shaft as well, which is important. That was going to be awkward if I had the drive shaft going to nothing, but thankfully, yes, I did see the differential option. Let's do the quick ratio race steering. So this is going to be a full-on race car. And power steering is optional, no thank you. Okay, so these front wheels are not going to work. They are too small, and with the current race tires that are on there, as cool as they are, 225 45 R17s, they're just not anywhere near big enough for this car. So we're going to check out some of its other wheels, and maybe we can just use the wheels from its better version. These are all organized by size, so we just have to scroll up, I guess, until we get to the big boys. Okay, those are some fat boys on there now, with race tires as well. Yeah, no, those wheels are going to be perfect. I think if we just run the 20 by 11, the 305 35 R19s are definitely the go-to. So some thick wheels on there, and overall the red and black look, really nice. So remember when I said I was making an off-road vehicle? It turns out I completely lied about that because now I've just gotten myself into making a full-on race car. What I won't do is lower it entirely, as tempted as I am to do that, because I really do like lowering cars all the way to the ground, but we'll just leave it as is for now, and we'll go for that race adjustable stuff too. Okay, so here's the car in its current form. This is, might I remind you, the 6.5 liter V8 without any supercharging, and I just want to see what it'll do. I'm very, very interested to see if it will explode instantly or if it's way too quick already. It doesn't need to be super fast, but it should be relatively fast. Okay, this is the first test run for the car. This is the first time it has been on its own suspension, and oh goodness, yeah, it's quick. 6.5 liter V8. You know, it's not really that quick though. It could definitely use a supercharger of some kind. Maybe not the stage 3. The twin turbo one is really funny, but it's pretty darn fast just the way it is, and the turning is pretty good too. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Plus this is without tuning, and this is with a full tank of gas, which we can cut down because, I mean, we don't always need a full tank of gas. Seems like it caps out around 250, and it does not want to go higher than that, which is unfortunate. I'm wondering if we can just take that speed limiter straight out. Also, you can just hear this thing whine. Even without the supercharger, it just builds power. Huge V8 engine, obviously. Just massive power building. This is a full-on race car, no doubt about it. Okay, so just to see how things have really gone, I'm going to drive up on top of the mud just like I did before. And now that we have a decent amount of power, we should be able to do well here. And all-wheel drive is going to make a big difference, but we're just going to go for it in the mud. Oh my goodness, never mind. It's honestly worse. It is smoking too. I believe that's the clutch. The clutch overheating is not a good sign because you know exactly what's going to happen, right? I mean, well, okay, look at the wheels I put on this. They are absolutely bald. Full on race tires. But with the clutch overheating, it's going to overheat way, way more when I put a supercharger on here, which is unideal. I'm doing it. It is now stage 3 twin turbos, which is nuts. Stage 2 performance long block, hopefully it holds up for me. And no nitrous, I think that's a little bit too much. But just trying this out, it's not saved in the configuration, but it might might be a little bit too much for me. Oh, she loud. Oh my goodness. Oh, you know what? The turbos aren't even working because I don't have the correct exhaust on it. Hold on a minute. Oh my goodness, yep, we're making boost, and we've over-torqued the engine. Oh my goodness, stage 3 turbos. That was a horrible idea. Oh my goodness, yeah, over-torque risk. Just ignore all the warnings that are coming up behind my face. Oh my goodness, it is so quick with this. Should we try the superchargers just for fun? Yes, and the exhaust is broken now. Beautiful. Oh yeah, it destroys really well too. This being one of the newer cars, you know that it's going to have a lot of pieces that can fly off. I'm very happy about that. Okay, so the only thing that's different this time is I switched to the ultra heavy duty long block, which does seem to be holding up a little bit better to that torque. So stage 2, say goodbye. Ultra heavy is what we want here in order to maintain this ridiculousness, and it's gonna get up to 250 real quick. Oh yeah, it definitely has some kind of speed limiter at 250. Okay, let's try and remove that after we watch it smash again. Come on, car. Slow motion, 8 times slower. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's way too beautiful. There it is, speed limiter delete. Say goodbye, boys. We definitely don't need that. That means that this car is going to be even faster. Okay, so I switched to the rear performance bumper because I think that that's cooler, and I've also switched to supercharger. So this is with the performance exhaust as well, so it's likely going to be a little bit louder, and overall it's basically just a modified version of the performance version of this car. So I've kind of failed a little bit in my endeavor to make something that is dailyable. Instead, I have taken the, well, I'm just going to modify it a little bit route and ended up having a stage 3 supercharger, all-wheel drive, and full racing slicks. So you know I'm doing things right. Okay, respawn the car, and it's time to run it. Oh, I forgot I'm in slow motion. Okay, so supercharger is a little bit slower, but that's probably for the better, to be honest with you. And with the speed limiter gone, I'm just kind of curious to see how fast this thing could go. I believe it's a 6 speed. So we'll run through all the gears. It no doubt weighs a ton, like it is definitely a pig, but 300 kilometers an hour without even sweating is nice to see. And that supercharger noise, I like the turbos, but I'm gonna stick with the supercharger. Stage 3 supercharger is where it's at, boys. This thing is thick. Okay, so we've made this car, and I have not actually set it to be my default yet. I should probably do that. Before we get too crazy, let's set that as default. Configuration is saved. So this beautiful new car, which is also ridiculously quick and will be giving me no problems in terms of getting places fast, shall be my daily for now, at least until I decide against using it, probably because I end up smashing it too much and wasting time. But I think it's going to be fun. That's the whole idea, ultimately, is just to have fun. It's not good off-road in the slightest. I guess we could fix that with some different wheels, but then it's not going to be good on-road, so yeah, kind of useless either way. I'm just going to try it one more time in the mud, maybe give it a little bit of speed. We're going to need some mud bogger tires, though, in order to have any fun with this thing in the mud, because at the moment, there's not much that I can do. Oh, Okay, call that even. Call it even. There you go. A little bit of a run up, and we are way above where we need to be. So everybody, let me know what your BeamNG Daily is in the comments. This kind of stuff is very interesting to me, and it's also a lot of fun. That we can have these default cars and we can customize them, so you don't always spawn in with the D-Series or something simple like that. You can make your own fanciness, and mine happens to be a Charger with a supercharger and a little bit too much power, at least for now. At one point it was a tuner car. Oh, wait a minute. The drag strip. But at one point it was a tuner car, at another point it was a truck, and now it is a muscle car in the newer sense. Not exactly a classic muscle, but definitely something with a bit of muscle behind it. You don't get those 6.5 liter V8s for nothing, okay? This thing is quick, and definitely going to be shattering itself on the drag strip. Let's see this in slow motion just for intrigue's sake. So I'm not actually going to do the event, and I'm not going to try and get a time. That would be a fun way to do things, to try and figure out which engine best suits you, but for my purposes, I'm going to slow things down to 8 times slower than real life. And I'm going to launch at full tilt here, and I want to see these wheels spin. You ready? Goodbye clutch. And, oh, it bogs really hard on the back. That is really, really cool. Oh man, that is totally awesome. Anyway, let's see it in real life. This car absolutely rips. Thank you for building it with me. I'll see you guys again soon. Once I learn how to shift, I'm sure I can fly down the drag strip, quite literally. Unless we decide to go off this pyramid first, in which case, sayonara. Okay, while this is falling, I just wanted to tell you, please subscribe to this channel if you're interested in these videos. I'm trying to get to 100k this year, that is the goal, and I've got a bit of a plan to do it, but I need your help obviously, so keep watching, keep subscribing, keep liking videos. Watch time really does matter these days, so if you made it this far, you're doing me a massive favor, and I appreciate it a lot. More BeamNG stuff coming up because BeamNG is great, and I thought I'd take a little bit of a break from automation this week just to mess around and make something like this, but yeah. See you guys again soon. Just want to give a special shout out to those who have chosen to support this channel via the join button. These people are great, and they're also the channel members on YouTube. So if you wanted to join this crew and join into my list of the children of the Bugo, as now I'm calling them officially. I'm not, but if you're interested, I might. Then they can, or then you can join them here. I can't speak on a normal day, by the way, so this is an abnormal day when I can at least speak semi-clearly. We have Overlord, QT Bear, Terry Williams, Jay Pope, Davis Heister, The German Dude, Mickey K1, Sleep64, Childish Sin, Jug MBH, Jared Grigg, and Goofy Plays, Badger, and Phoenix Shark, as well as the other supporters. I appreciate you guys a lot. I've been saying your names, some of you, for over 2 years, which is insane. So, yeah, goodness, man. I appreciate it a lot. I'll see you guys again soon.